This is the MGB E3. It's an electric bike. Now, I know there's a big issue at the minute with electric bikes. A lot of people aren't keen on them. I can see a place for them. I can, but they are limited in that the range is usually a bit poor and they're usually far too expensive as well. Now, this is certainly not expensive, so that's one good thing about this bike. These retail brand new. I believe they are £1,499 plus the on the road, usually about £200. So let's say £1,700 to keep it simple. This bike is being registered, so it's already got the plate on, so there's no on the road things to worry about. And it's only £1,299. It's got about 29 miles on. So it is a cheap bike. So we can cross that off. Electric bikes are not all really expensive. This is a cheap one. But range is still an issue. Still an issue. Unfortunately, it is. This bike, I'll go off the spec sheet first of all, because according to the spec sheet, this bike will do between 40 and 75 miles on a full charge. If we know anything about electric bikes, we know that they can't get to the claimed ranges. Exactly the same with electric cars. I would probably bet that this will do around the 30 miles to 35 miles, maybe if you're riding in the highest power setting. Now, is that good? It's not great, considering you've got to charge it for about 6 hours. However, where I always say these bikes make sense is if you work or you go to college and you're 2 miles away from home, 30 miles is a week or two's riding, isn't it? And it is. It's a week or two's riding, because that's how long it'll take you there and back to actually drain the battery on this. So for that kind of purpose, it makes sense. Touring, long days out, no, it just won't cut the mustard for that. But local journeys, bit of commuting, yeah, I don't see why not at this price point. It's cheap. There are some positives with this bike as well. It's very light. I mean, should I pick it up? Probably could pick it up actually. Yeah, I can pick it up quite easily, one-handed. So weight isn't an issue. So it would be good to throw on the back of a motorhome, something like that. Let's just have a look round it the usual way. I'll point out some of the things that I like and some of the things I don't. Let's go. There's your close-up. The MGB E3. Side on, I don't actually think it's that bad a looking bike. I don't. Just looks like any petrol scooter, doesn't it? It's got some decent shocks at the back. And it is a comfortable ride, I can confirm that. And if you join me on the test ride, you get to see me on this little thing. It's not a beautiful bike from the front. Plates on this one because it's a 50cc equivalent in the UK. A 16-year-old can ride this bike. And standard for scooters, it's currently on its side stand, but it does have centre stand as well, which is always good for storage. Loads of leg room as well, so that's good. You have got the step through, but the seat height's not particularly big. It's actually quite a short scooter, this one. I am flat foot, bending the knee, all that stuff, as you'll see shortly. You have got the bag hook. You've got a little tray down there as well, but there's no cover on it, so what you're going to put in there, maybe stick your gloves in there, but you wouldn't want to leave them parked up with your gloves in there. But it's not very secure, but it is quite deep. Maybe put some change in there, but again, you wouldn't want to park it with money in there. So I don't quite get why they haven't got at least a cover or something lockable there. A wasted opportunity, I think. Buttons wise, it's standard really. You've got your horn indicators, high and low beam. Right hand side, a little bit more. You've got it's the equivalent of like your engine start. I'll show you that when we go through the startup. Hazard lights, and then this switch is your modes. 3 modes. 1 being the most economical and 3 being the least economical but the most power. So it's kind of lowest power to highest power. Your passenger foot pegs, they don't just come out, they're actually locked in there. You have to, ouch, press that and they flip out on you. Nicely tucked away though. And as far as a passenger goes, the seat is big enough for 2 people, and there is a nice grab handle there that they could use. What I would say though is, for a passenger, these bikes, you're not going to go particularly quick with 2 on the back. The screen is quite basic, but you would expect that at this price point. You've got your battery charge, doesn't give you the number of miles, doesn't give you the range, it just tells you how much battery you've got. A big speedo, lets you know what mode you're in, albeit it tells you anyway on the switch. And then you've got the total miles. So this bike has done 30 miles, which is well, it's like a brand new bike, isn't it? The moment you've all been waiting for. What does a middle-aged fat bloke look like on it? This. The seat height is quite low. I can't find any specs online. I'm 5'8" and I've got a nice bend in the knee, so it is quite a short bike, certainly for a scooter. A lot of those have got much higher seats, but seating position's all right. Riding around, yeah, it's a comfortable bike. I will do a brake test when I do the test ride to show you, and I've got to say that is one of the pluses with this bike. The brakes are exceptional. Let's have a look under the seat and see what we've got. There is not a lot of room there straight off the bat. I'll give you an example. My helmet is not fitting in that seat. Now ignore the GoPro. Even with the GoPro not there, that helmet is not fitting in there at all. There is no way of putting it in. It's not going in there. Upside down again. Yeah. No chance. So it isn't enough room to put a helmet. Is however perfect if you're looking at charging cables, maybe a little bag, but you're not going to get much in there. Let's lift this up. The positive thing with this, look at that. Now the good thing I like with this is the battery is removable. So you can unplug that and the battery just comes out. And it's about the same size as a car battery when you look at it. It's not particularly heavy, and there is a charge meter on there as well. So that for me is a positive thing. You could, in theory, take the battery out when you get to work, plug it in at work, and it's fully charged by the end of the day, because it's about a 6-hour charge, that battery. That's the walk round done. And you know, on a serious note, a lot of people will they? Yeah, I would say a lot of people will be quite negative about this bike. But what I would say is, let's look at it practically first of all. If you're doing less than 30 miles a day, this bike could be an option for you. If you're 16 years old and you're limited to a 50cc bike, this bike is actually not a bad option. I would say, is it as quick as any other 50? Yeah, it's as quick as any other 50, maybe slightly quicker than a couple of petrol bikes that I've been on. But top speed wise, you're going to be limited like you are with any 50cc in the UK. 28, 29 mile an hour is going to be the tops you're going to get out of it. The only thing left for me to do now is to have a little ride on this bike and show you exactly what it's all about. Let's do that. Time to go for a ride now. We'll hit the roads properly. We'll see what it's like with a bit of traffic round it. Come on, let's go. So oh God. Now, as far as electric bikes go, it's very quiet, like exceedingly quiet. You can't hear any sort of engine squeal at all, but you can feel a few little rattles, and you know what? That is typical of electric bikes. Every bike would have a rattle if you didn't have the engine, because it's all you hear is the engine, isn't it, on the petrol bikes? It's in power mode 1 or eco mode. Picks up speed really, really, really slowly. Now I know why they've done it. It's for maximum battery, you know, you get more miles out of it by riding it economically and, well, slowly. But on a little gradient like this, just a little bit of a hill, it picks up speed, but barely. It's struggling a bit in mode 1. I feel like I should get off and push. But once it gets going, once it starts moving, it's alright, you know, it gets to 20 mile an hour eventually. So I think I'm done with mode 1. I don't want to field mode 1 anymore, especially in traffic. So I'm gonna kick me onto mode 2. Let's see if it improves it at all. Does feel to be a little bit more punchy in mode 2. It's not fast by any stretch. I am full throttle and I am doing 24 miles per hour. It's trying to save a little bit of battery and extend the range. But now I've seen what mode 2 can do, I'm going to go to mode 3 and hope mode 3 can get me up to the claimed maximum, which is 28 miles an hour. Oh, I tell you what, you do feel a difference on that. It seems to pick up straight away. Not quick, but you can notice a difference. But it's not rapid, it's not going to punish you if you floor it. You're not going to start wheeling or anything, but it's getting to the maximum speed, which is 28 miles. Oh, it's saying 29. It's just like any standard 50cc motorbike really. It's maxed out on me at 29 mile an hour. But if you're 16 years old, or you live in a city where 20 mile an hour is the speed limit, these bikes make sense. And they do. I've said it before about the low capacity electric bikes, like the MGB G1 and the Tromox and the Easy Mini. They make small capacity bikes that I do genuinely believe would be a brilliant travel companion. Now I don't mean for touring, because for touring they'd be absolutely useless. In busy towns though, it's a tiny bike, so a bit of filtering is perfectly acceptable. But like with all 50cc mopeds and motorbikes, the issue comes when you are in a lane and you can't get to normal road speeds. You are going to get people just like that guy there who doesn't want to wait behind you because you're not able to do the speed that he wants you to do. So they will overtake you, undertake you, and that generally is a problem with all 50cc bikes, petrol or electric. Unfortunately, this bike is not going to be for everybody. It is going to be targeting a certain person who is doing very short journeys, is limited to a 50cc bike. For those types of people, it's going to be fine for you. It's a cheap and cheerful way to ride. It's not a bad bike. It's just quite limiting on performance, power and range, but it's very cheap. So it's just, you summing up really, is something like this gonna suit you? Does it suit what you need it for? This bike wouldn't suit me for commuting because I work 30 miles away. It would suit somebody who works 2 miles away. With these electric bikes, if they suit your needs, they will be the best bike in the world, and if they don't, they'll be the worst. If you're considering something like this, just make sure you fit that criteria. Make sure it does what you need it to do, and if it does and it ticks all the boxes and you're happy with the range, then I'll put a link in the description of Moto that have this bike up for sale. It's certainly cheap enough. Anyway, enough waffle, time to go. I will catch you on the next one. Laters.